Hello, my name is Stephanie Sanders, and I would just like to talk about some social characteristics of autism that I've observed so far with my learners. And so, some of the social characteristics that I've noticed are just the routine oriented, that they like to know what is expected of them, what will be happening that day through visual schedules or just discussing the daily routines with them, as well as they're very just rigid and knowing what to expect. And a lot of times, um, you don't have to keep explaining things verbally to them as long as they know what's coming next. It's a very it's a very routine process with them. Um, and so some of those characteristics that are helpful as far as socially with engaging with peers and learning group activities is through some social stories that I've used and also social skills and peer modeling. So, for example, social stories are very important, and I've seen a lot of progress in those just through the unexpected changes that might happen throughout their day. So things like there is a sub, like I won't be there, or an adult might not be there in the classroom with them, that can definitely make things uneasy for them. So, going through a story on what to do when the teacher isn't there or there's a substitute, how things might be different, it's very important for them to know what they can do to, what can they expect from them if things around them are not how they would control things. So, and I think it's also just important as everyday lives, we can't control anything except for ourselves and how we handle situations that are out of our control and out of our hands. So I think that's a life skill as well, is just to understand problem solving and knowing what to do when it's unexpected. Also, things like a change in the actual school day. If there's a half day, is there early release? Um, if something bad happens, if fire drill, things, all of those kinds of things that would interrupt our normal routine are very important to teach through these social stories. So I like to include pictures and even scripts of what they can say, of what the adult can say that is working with them, and that sort of thing. Another one I like to do a lot is social skills. So I actually like to do this with a group. It can be intermixed individuals with autism and not. Um, but just to be able to interact as far as peers, and see that we're all different, but we all have things we can bring to the table, and we all can make a positive impact in each other's lives. And I think a group is just very, good for them to see, okay, we're all kind of on the same playing field right now, just talking about some of these social cues and what's acceptable and what is socially not really acceptable right now, especially age appropriate things, things like that. Or if a child is, into Elmo, but they're actually in high school, how that can be seen to their peers, like, so in a perspective on that. Because I think once they start getting older, they will see, okay, I am different in this way, and I want to be liked by peers. And I think that's a common thing for any kid, is to want to be liked by those around them. So also, it's an adult thing that we as adults also go through. So I think it's very important for individuals with autism to understand these social skills and be able to be successful once they get out of high school and go into post transitional, whether it's living with their parents, whether it's living in a group home, or what it may be, independent living. So any of those are used with the social skills. And then the other one I like to use um, for these social reasons on working with individuals with autism is the peer modeling. So I think this is very, very important, especially for kids going into the middle school age and the high school age, because that is when any kid starts to notice their peers and they want to be liked, like I said earlier. So I like to involve peers as much as possible, working on activities together. I might group one who's not very talkative and one who is quiet, and then another one who is overly social. And, I would like to have myself or an adult kind of oversee and observe, um, help as needed. But in that project or that activity, make sure they're both involved and interacting. And a lot of times that is a connection that the kids will remember throughout, the rest of the year. A lot of times they make those lifelong friends because they have that bond over that certain activity. And so I think bonding is very, very important for these individuals with autism, and even helping them along the way, asking them to make sure, okay, what do you need to ask back? Make sure you're looking at them, eye contact, things like that, so that they can participate in those activities that the peers participate in, that such as homecoming or prom, or even going to a game or hanging out, going to a movie. So you want them to be able to be independent and successful in the world, and to be able to live these lives that their peers are living. So I just think it's important to expose them to what the peers are talking about, what they're, how they're acting, and explain, okay, I know you observed this behavior. Is this acceptable? Is this something we should do? And just getting them to see perspectives other than their own. So those are some areas and characteristics I've noticed so far in the social aspect of things with autism. And I continue to learn, and just I love this topic, and just I love working with these kids with autism. And so I'm excited to continue to learn about them.